School's a really big part of my life, and it can be difficult having UC. It's important to meet with your school staff to talk about those times when you need to be excused. And if you do so, school can be a really positive environment.
We have found it helpful to encourage a family to notify a school system and a school staff as early as possible about the new diagnosis. So this often involves a meeting where everyone is made aware of the diagnosis and the parents highlight what they're finding to be the biggest barriers of having their son or daughter in the school during the day.
With this illness, she has to go to the bathroom a lot, and it's sometimes very urgent. How would they handle that if she's in a classroom?
We don't want her to be embarrassed at all.
Yeah.
Our nurse will write a memo to all of her teachers, telling them in a confidential memo that Sandy needs to go as soon as she needs to go. We can do that through our district accommodation plan. We call it the DCAP, and every school has one.
Last year, I missed about 38 days of school, which was pretty rough, but my mom and my dad would always communicate with my teachers and my friends, and they would always get work up to me.
When the inflammatory bowel disease is flaring up in a way that causes a significant and prolonged absence from school, what we find is that with certain age groups, no information and a lack of understanding what's going on can lead to a lot of myths and rumors that develop.
This year, when I had a big flare and I was out for so long, I made the decision to, let my classmates at school know what was going on.
People were making up all kinds of stupid stories about this girl, Grace, who they knew a little bit, but then she disappeared and she hasn't been back to school, and people said she died, and all those stupid things like kids do.
We found that for certain developmental stages, it's actually much more helpful to give a little basic information and set some records straight than give no information at all and allow there to be the curiosity that develops into stories of their own making.
At about week 4, I think, was when I went in with Grace's permission and did a presentation to 90 kids.
We wanted to make sure that when she was finally well enough to return medically, that the stress and anxiety of the social reentry wasn't going to now present a new barrier.
Telling my class was one of the smartest decisions I've ever made in my life. I just got so much support. When people usually hear the word disease, it's like, ugh, that person is sick. But I have a ton of new friends, and they don't look at me as somebody with a disease. They look at me as a close friend that happens to have occasional stomach pains.
Jake, I'm going to fill up your prescription for the nurse at school.
It's a struggle to get him to take his medication on time because he's 15 and his mind is other places usually.
He has his phone vibrate in his pocket to tell him when he has to go to the nurse, and he goes there every day and he takes his pills.
We're basically charging them with making really sophisticated decisions. I think that acknowledging that a lot is being asked of them is important.
We have some questions.
I would encourage a family in anticipation of this first meeting to think about what they think would make the school day easier for their child in a very concrete way. The key theme here is partnership. We want it to be very collaborative with the school. This is someone who's partnering for the same goal that the parents have in mind.
There are a number of steps to take and a number of programs that can help Sandy along the way as she needs them.
I think the final piece here is communication. As long as we keep the lines open between home and school, I mean, we're willing to work with you any way that we have to.
Excellent. All right, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
It was
much.
great seeing you again.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.